Hey everyone, welcome back. We are wrapping up this 3-part info series on healthier habits by Halloween. You guys, it's October 25th, so Halloween is just around the corner, and I really hope that all of this information that we have been sharing has come in handy for you, or at least taught you something that maybe you didn't already know. So today is day 2 of a pre-Halloween sugar detox, and we're just talking about sugar basically. We're not actually detoxing on sugar, but I wanted to give you some tools so that way when you're ready to start implementing some healthier habits, you can come back to all of this information and be successful, right? So what I have up here on the screen, you guys see, is the 10-page workbook. This is free. This is really fantastic information. If you don't already have a copy of this, drop sugar in the comments below. I'll be sure to get you a copy. And I'm going to show you, I'm going to scroll through here and show you what this looks like. So we've got how to identify some of the high sugar foods. You would maybe be surprised at some of these. For example, pasta sauce. If you're buying store-bought pasta sauce, it's crazy how much extra sugar is in there. So here are some healthy sugar substitutes that you can do, like monk fruit, coconut sugar, maple syrup, honey, pureeing a banana. You guys, like so easy. I did that last night. It was delicious. And so here are some swap this for that options for you. Now, this is something that a lot of us have in our pantries, like honey, but we maybe don't substitute them out, whenever we're trying to do some sort of recipe. So this is just a way to get creative in the kitchen and scale back on some of that refined sugar. So I'm going to go ahead and stop the screen share there. So today we're going to talk about 7 things that happen when you eat sugar, things that happen to the body when you consume refined sugars that maybe we don't connect the dots as to this is happening in our body and what is the reason. It could be because of refined, like added sugars. So sugar in and of itself is not bad for you. It's actually necessary for the body. It's a complex carb that's naturally found in our fruits and vegetables, but that doesn't mean that it's naturally found in things like ice cream and cake. Those are simple sugars. So we want to kind of identify and discuss the difference between natural sugars, which are found in fruits and veggies, and refined sugars, which is going to be, those heavily processed, simple carbs that aren't doing us any kind of favors. So, okay, let's talk about a couple of things that happen to the body when you eat sugars. For one, when you eat sugar, you crave more sugar. It becomes this weird cycle of, I just ate this sugary thing. Why am I now craving sugar? Or sometimes it's like a savory sweet, kind of like flip flop. That's me. If I eat something sweet, then I'm craving like a pickle or some kind of chip or something like that. And that's the cycle that we really have to pay attention to, because if that's happening to us every single day, then that means there's something going on in our microbiome, in our gut, that is off. And we really need to kind of start from ground zero and figure it out. So when you eat sugar, like refined sugars, you get this like instant dopamine hit. And we like that. Our bodies are like, ooh, yeah, that felt really good. Let's do that again. But the tricky part about that is that you get that dopamine hit, but when it's a refined sugar, it will like crash you almost immediately. And then you're wondering, oh, you fall a lot farther. Basically, when you get that sugar high, you're falling a lot farther. So when you're craving sugar, I would challenge you to substitute in something with natural sugars, something with complex carbs, and something with fiber. And the reason you want to do this is because it's going to help you feel full longer and also feel more satisfied. In the beginning, when you're making these transitions, you may not feel satisfied immediately if you're used to grabbing like a piece of candy or having some ice cream. Substituting out a peach or an apple or something, you might be thinking, no, this is not satisfying me. But I promise, if you stick with it for a good week or two and you make intentional effort to substitute natural sugars in place of those refined sugary treats, your body will really thank you for it, and you'll start craving the fiber and the good carbs and the good natural sugars. So A couple other things that happen to the body when you eat sugar, and I feel like these are kind of no-brainers and things that we've been told our whole life, but they're true. Your teeth and your skin suffer when you eat sugar. I mean, right? Sugar that lives in your mouth, like bacteria feeds on sugar. And the more we have of it just hanging out in there, the more likely our teeth are going to decay, etc. And if you weren't already aware, the oral like hygiene and health of our mouths is really connected to our gut. So if our gut and our digestion is really off, that's going to affect things like bad breath, gum health, the strength of your teeth, all of that kind of stuff. And then also your skin. So I learned something recently, and this I thought was kind of interesting. So when you consume excess sugars, there's there's this harmful molecule that basically, when these excess sugars meet proteins in your blood, and we're saying excess, like too much refined sugar meets a protein in your blood, it starts to create this molecule AGE, and this is harmful for us. This basically breaks down collagen. Now, if you're over 20 years old, you're already losing collagen on a daily basis. We don't need to be like speeding that process along, right? I want to keep my collagen. I want to age gracefully. So these like harmful molecule, the AGE, as we have excess sugars, we don't want to be creating these molecules in our bodies that are tearing away all of our necessary collagen. And collagen is not just for hair, skin, and nails. I know that over the last year or so, there has been, collagen has blown up, right? The popularity of it as an everyday supplement has now become very mainstream for most people. Unfortunately, there's not enough education around the actual importance of collagen. It's just being sold to people as like this fad thing, almost like, look at this lipstick. It's the best lipstick and it's going to make you feel the best. That's sort of how collagen is being presented to the masses. And it is so much more than that. If you have a collagen product that is actually doing what it's supposed to do, you should be getting digestive enzymes. It should be helping you with your digestion, and it should be physically repairing your gut. If your collagen's not doing that, I would challenge you to look for a different one. I've got a fantastic one that I've been taking, and it's actually helped with like a balding spot that I had on my head. I'll drop the picture in the comments. It's pretty like mind-blowing when I took the photo. Anyways, I digress. Let's move on. So I wanted to be sure and share these 7 things that happen to the body when you eat sugar, because I feel like sometimes we don't really relate what's happening to our body with what we're consuming, and we really have to be more mindful about that. It creates a much more intentional way of eating, and you really start to appreciate the foods that you're consuming. So another thing to consider when you're eating refined sugars is your vital organs are basically going into overdrive when you consume excess sugar. We don't want that. We don't want our organs working overtime just to break down or not break down for that matter, which is kind of why they work overtime. So like our liver, pancreas, and kidneys, they're going to work overtime when we consume too much sugar. You might get that instant sugar high, but you're going to immediately be slowed down every single time. And we don't want that. We want sort of this consistent, elevated feeling. We don't want to spike and drop. That's no fun for anybody. And then, of course, increase in weight. We all know that this is entirely possible when we eat too many like sugary drinks, sugary foods. It's possible that it's going to increase your weight. It's also going to increase your blood sugar levels. And that just gets into a whole plethora of other possible diseases, right? Like when we start talking about diabetes and all of that kind of thing. So something to consider when you're eating excess sugar and how it relates to weight. Basically, excess sugar inflames your fat cells, causing them to release chemicals that are directly related to increasing your weight. Like, that sounds terrible. I don't want that. Personally, I love sweets, but I have been able to transition my sweet tooth into being satisfied and only craving these natural sugars. I do have a piece of dark chocolate almost every single night. I'll do about like a 1 by 1 inch, maybe 2 or 3 pieces of that with some hot tea. That's about the most like refined sugar that I'm getting. Usually I'll have like a half of a peach or half of an apple or some berries or something like that, because dipping into the other refined sugar stuff, like I said, you're just going to go dopamine and then boom, drop. We don't want that. Okay, so another thing that when you eat sugar, it's affecting your sleep. It makes your sleep less restful and more disruptive because your body is trying to figure out how to break down this unnatural thing that you've put into it. And we don't want that. We want our body functioning in a really, really seamless way. And that means getting really good rest. That's incredibly important to, overall health, that process. And then lastly, when you eat sugar, you actually put your brain at risk. This was something I thought was quite interesting. I learned this recently. Excess sugar can actually cause the brain to atrophy or shrink. We want big brains. We want big functioning cognitive brains because we have a lot of good things we need to be doing, and we don't need to be bogged down with this brain fog or with the shrunken brain, right? I mean, nobody wants that. So decreasing memory and cognitive function is directly related to refined sugar. So let's try to pull back on it, right? Another kind of weird fact that I learned recently, and this blew my mind. When the circumference of your gut expands, it is directly linked to the size of your brain shrinking. So as your middle gets larger, your brain gets smaller. No wonder we don't feel good when we're overweight, fatigued, tired. I mean, it's no wonder that we just feel lost and confused as to how to feel better. I mean, it's a direct connection. So, I talk about sugar today, but really this whole info series that we've been doing, the whole purpose of it is to kind of identify these healthier habits that are sustainable for your life. Everybody's different. So these healthier habits that are good for you, that you can then take on a daily basis, making really, really small baby steps to find small successes so you can keep going towards bettering your gut health, your microbiome, your overall well-being, your weight wellness, whatever it is you're working for. That's what this whole info series has been about. So if you've missed any of the days, be sure to go into the guides tab on the page. It's in the top left, the little 3 lines, and you'll see it says guides. That's where I've been placing all of the videos we've done over these last 3 weeks. So if you've missed any, go back and watch them. They're not super long. And if you're missing out on any of the 3 workbooks, just send me a message and I'd be happy to get them to you. They're free. So you guys, I'm going to wrap up today on, the 7 things that happen to the body when we eat sugar. We've got some healthy sugar substitutes in the workbook for you to dive into. And be sure to come back tomorrow because I am making pasta sauce from scratch, no sugar added. It is just as delicious, if not more delicious than store-bought pasta sauce. I made this recipe a couple months ago and I have not once purchased pasta sauce since then. It makes such a huge amount of sauce that you can freeze, and it is so much more healthy for you. You're not adding in all of those extra refined sugars. All you have are the natural sugars from the vegetables that you're using. It is fantastic. So be sure to come back tomorrow so you can take a peek at the recipe, and it's also inside of the workbook for you. So I will see you back here at 12:30 tomorrow, and you guys have a fantastic day.